If you're a woman navigating life after 50, you have very likely run headfirst into a wildly frustrating biological truth. Suddenly, out of nowhere, weight loss just feels incredibly hard. Almost impossible, right? But today, we are going to completely change that narrative. Instead of fighting your biology, we're going to use the latest research and expert advice to give you a clear, actionable blueprint to rebuild your body's metabolism from the ground up. I want to start by just validating exactly what you might be experiencing right now. If you feel like you're doing the exact same things you did at 40, eating the same meals, doing the exact same workouts, but you're still gaining weight, listen to me. It is absolutely not your imagination. You aren't doing anything wrong. It's actually a biological reality driven by completely natural shifts in your body. Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap for today. We'll start with a perfect storm, then we'll get into measuring your middle. Next up is high protein fuel, building your engine, and finally, we'll tie it all together into your weekly action plan.
All right, part one, the post-menopause perfect storm, shifting gears from reproduction to preservation.
So, as a woman enters her 50s, her body goes through this massive, sweeping hormonal shift. Think of it like a major biological recalibration. Before menopause, your hormones, specifically estrogen, essentially told your body to store fat primarily in the hips and thighs. But as those estrogen levels drop significantly after 50, your body totally changes its preferences. It's like a switch flips, and it now heavily prefers to store that fat deep within the belly. And while your fat storage is shifting, something else is sneaking up at the exact same time. It's called sarcopenia, which is the natural loss of muscle mass and strength as we age. To really grasp why this is such a big deal, think of your metabolism as an engine. Your muscle is the metabolically active tissue that actually runs that engine. It's what burns calories all day long, even when you're just sitting on the couch relaxing. Get this. Here is the really heavy statistic we pulled from the sources. By age 50, we lose about 10% of our muscle mass. Now, because muscle is what burns your calories, losing 10% of it is literally like physically shrinking your metabolic engine. The end result? You're burning about 200 fewer calories every single day without changing a single thing about your lifestyle. No wonder it feels harder, right? Which brings us to section 2, measuring your middle, looking beyond the bathroom scale. So the crucial point here is that we have to change how we track our progress. Remember how we said fat storage shifts to the belly? Well, this is called visceral fat. And this isn't just that soft, pinchable fat right under your skin. Visceral fat builds up deep within the abdomen, and it literally wraps around your internal organs. It is highly active, dangerous fat that experts strongly link to things like insulin overproduction, sleep apnea, and a significantly higher risk of heart disease and diabetes. Because monitoring this visceral fat is absolutely critical. You need to know exactly how to measure your waistline properly at home. So here's the physical rundown. First, stand up with a bare stomach. Second, find your hip bone and place a flexible tape measure right above it. Third, pull that tape so it's snug, but don't let it dig into your skin, and make sure it's completely level all the way around your back. And finally, just relax. Exhale naturally and take the measurement. No sucking in. If you're a woman, the crucial number you're looking out for is 35 inches. A waist measurement over 35 inches, which is about 89 centimeters, is a red flag. It signals an unhealthy amount of visceral fats and elevated health risks. Honestly, this one single number tells you far more about your overall metabolic health than the bathroom scale ever could. Okay, moving to section 3, fueling with high-protein meals, providing the premium fuel your engine needs. Now that we know exactly what we're up against, let's talk solutions. Going back to our engine analogy, if your metabolism is the engine, dietary protein is the premium fuel you absolutely need to keep it running strong. The experts recommend 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So let's say you're a 150-pound woman. That translates to roughly 55 grams of protein a day. To put that into real-world food terms, you can easily hit this by just having 2 eggs at breakfast, snacking on a quarter cup of almonds, and then having about 4 ounces of lean chicken at dinner. But here's a massive, absolute game changer. It is not just about the total amount, it's about the timing. You have to spread your protein intake out. Eating all your protein in one giant dinner just isn't efficient. Keeping it consistent throughout the day does a vastly better job of preventing muscle deterioration and keeping you feeling full and satisfied. Look, we're all busy, right? So to make this foolproof during a hectic week, you've got to put your high-protein eating on autopilot. Try these weekend prep strategies. Spend a little bit of time on Sunday cooking a batch of quinoa or brown rice. roast up a big pan of vegetables, and grill some chicken breasts. Pop all of that in the fridge. Boom, you now have instant metabolism-supporting meals ready to reheat in minutes. All right, let's shift gears to section 4, building your metabolic engine, reversing that muscle decline. So you've got the premium fuel dialed in. Now you actually have to rebuild the engine itself. And this next part brilliantly illustrates the true power of lifting weights. There was a landmark 18-month study on adults over 60, and it showed that combining calorie cutting with strength training resulted in an average weight loss of 20 pounds. But here is the jaw-dropping part. 18 pounds of that was pure fat. The strength training preserved their vital calorie-burning muscle mass while forcing the body to ditch the dangerous visceral fat. That is huge. And hey, do not panic, because the great news is that effective resistance training does not require an intimidating gym membership or crazy heavy machinery. You can use completely accessible strength builders right in your living room. Things like resistance bands, light free weights, simple bodyweight exercises like lunges and modified push-ups, or brief sessions of HIIT, high-intensity interval training. All of these are incredibly effective at rebuilding your muscle. But listen, building that engine requires holistic maintenance. If you're completely sleep deprived, your cortisol levels are going to shoot through the roof. When that happens, hunger hormones like ghrelin get completely thrown out of whack, and that is what drives those really intense sugar cravings. Aiming for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep is non-negotiable if you want to balance your appetite hormones and actually let your muscles recover. Which brings us to our final section, part 5, your weekly action plan. Let's put all of this science into a schedule. We have covered so much biology and so many expert strategies today. Let's distill the whole shebang down into a concrete, highly actionable weekly timeline. Here is your blueprint. On Sunday, dedicate time to prep your proteins and veggies. Tuesday, pencil in a 30-minute at-home resistance training session. Thursday, mix things up with a bit of HIIT cardio or even a brisk walk. And then on Saturday morning, take 2 minutes to measure your waistline. Keep your eye on that 35-inch mark, not just the bathroom scale. And to back up that weekly routine, you've got to plug in some daily non-negotiables. First, cut off eating about 3 hours before bed to keep your insulin levels nice and low overnight. Second, fiercely protect those 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And third, drink 8 glasses of water a day. Why? Because of a cool little thing called thermogenesis. Your body literally burns calories just bringing that cold water up to normal body temperature. As you start putting this plan into action, I really want you to hold on to this profound quote from the medical experts we reviewed today. Nearly everything changes biologically. The most significant factor is the decline in estrogen, which triggers a metabolic recalibration. Keep this in the back of your mind to validate all your hard work. You aren't failing. You are just actively managing a major biological shift. Please, give yourself some grace here. Remember, aging is not just some inevitable downward decline. With the right premium fuel, the right movement, and a real understanding of your shifting biology, it can actually be a deliberate phase of preservation, strength, and empowerment. So I'll leave you with this question. How will you use this blueprint to transform your next decade into your absolute strongest, healthiest one yet?
Get more ways to lose weight. Link in bio. See you there.